the Gates, Thursday, June 12, 2025. Secrets erupt in Fairmont Crest. Fairmont Crest is about to explode. Thursday's episode of Beyond the Gates brings the tension to a boiling point as betrayals deepen, loyalties shift, and personal agendas collide with devastating force. Catherine Cott Richardson tightens her grip on a dangerous deception, while Bradley Smitty Smith walks into a role that might destroy the quiet balance of his marriage. And as for Ted Richardson, she's about to make a move that could ripple through every storyline in play. Let's break it down, moment by moment, because this is the episode that changes everything. Cott Richardson has always danced on the edge of morality, but this time, she's all in. The June 12th spoilers confirm that Cott continues to manipulate the fallout from the Laura Peterson crash, pushing Leslie Thomas further into the fire. Cott has orchestrated the illusion that Leslie was behind the wheel the night Laura's car slammed off the overpass. But it wasn't Leslie, it was Cott. And now she's hellbent on pinning it all on someone else. We already know Cott stole Leslie's helmet and glove sides Leslie had innocently borrowed weeks earlier for a fundraiser motorcycle shoot from Eva Thomas's hotel suite. She stashed them at Leslie's apartment, then tipped off Detective Jacob Hawthorne. When Jacob returned with a second search warrant, he found exactly what Cott had planted. The evidence was there, but it wasn't enough. The judge has denied a new warrant to gather no match, no conviction. That's the problem. And Cott, she's not backing down. She's preparing to get that DNA herself, illegally, quietly, ruthlessly. Cott has already crossed ethical lines most people wouldn't dream of. She forged documents. She manipulated evidence. She's lied to nearly everyone in her orbit. So the question isn't whether she go after Leslie's DNA. The question is how. Hair from a brush? A stolen coffee cup? Something worse? Meanwhile, Leslie's suspicions are rising. She's been sensing something off for days. Cott's sudden closeness. The strange questions. The tension in Eva's voice when they speak. On June 12th, Leslie's paranoia reaches its peak. And if she connects the dots, if she realizes that Cott is the one framing her, then Fairmont Crest won't just see a scandal. It'll see war. Across town, another storyline brews under the surface. Bradley Smitty Smith, the ever-reliable, calm-in-the-storm presence in the Richardson household, is offered a new job. Details on the role are scarce, but early hints suggest it's far from ordinary. It's not just a career shift, it's a keyhole into the past, one that could pry open secrets his husband, Martin Richardson, thought were buried for good. Smitty has been the quiet rock of the Richardson family, especially as Martin spirals between legal battles and unspoken trauma. He's been the caretaker, the homemaker, the glue. But now, with this new assignment, that dynamic is about to change. The job might pull him away from home, away from Martin, just as things begin to unravel on multiple fronts. What's more disturbing is the joke's vague ties to an old contact from Martin's life before Fairmont Crest, something Martin never talks about. Will this be the catalyst for a rift in their marriage? Will Martin sabotage the opportunity to keep the past buried? Or will this new role for Smitty finally force Martin to face what he's been running from? And then there's Ted Richardson. Stoic, calculated, always 2 steps ahead. On Thursday, Ted makes an unexpected offer to Eva Thomas, an offer that could shift the power dynamic within his own family. The nature of the offer remains a mystery, but rumors point to a position at his office. Strategic, influential, and very, very public. Eva has been drifting on the edge of the main drama for weeks. A therapist with a sharp mind and an uncanny ability to see through people, she's been a quiet observer. But that might change if she accepts Ted's offer. Especially since Cott, Ted's daughter, used to work in the same office before pivoting to help Chelsea Hamilton launch her luxury bag line. Cott's been stretched thin, learning interference for Chelsea, fabricating evidence for Jacob, manipulating her father's trust. She doesn't have time for desk work anymore. And Ted, he knows it. So now the opening is there. And Eva is the perfect candidate, intelligent, controlled. But will she take the offer? And if she does, what does it mean for her relationship with her sister, Leslie? With Cott? With Ted? Tensions will run high in the June 12th episode, not only because of what's happening, but because of what's about to. Every plot thread is tightening. Every secret is getting closer to the light. Cott is one misstep away from exposure. Smitty is one day away from unraveling everything Martin built. Ted is one decision away from creating a whole new power triangle in Fairmont Crest. There's no turning back. Cott's storyline is the pressure cooker of the episode. Her plan to take down Leslie is more than just a cover-up, it's personal. Cott doesn't just want to avoid punishment for Laura Peterson's crash. She wants to erase her own guilt by transferring it onto someone she believes deserves it. Her justification. Leslie had it coming. She's convinced herself that Leslie, with her polished facade and picture-perfect reputation, has been skating by too easily. That someone like Leslie can take the fall and survive. But the truth is, Cott's not doing this out of strategy anymore. She's doing it out of desperation. Every time she gets away with something, the stakes grow higher. And eventually, the house of cards falls. When Leslie begins confronting her, viewers will see just how far Cott is willing to go. The word kidnapping gets whispered. A secluded cabin. A panicked phone call. A missing file. Cott's spiral deepens, and with no one left to trust it, even Chelsea begins to isolate. A ticking bomb just waiting to detonate. Smitty's arc will move in quieter, more subtle beats, but the tension is just as thick. He's excited about the offer, flattered, even energized by the possibility of doing something beyond domestic life. But every conversation with Martin gets colder. Martin pretends to be supportive, but there's a frost in his voice when he says, "You'll do great." He's hiding something. A file in a locked drawer. A phone number scribbled on the back of an old receipt. Smitty will find it. He won't know what it means yet, but the seeds will be planted. Ted, for his part, remains inscrutable. The offer to Eva isn't just about filling a gap. It's about control. Ted sees the fractures forming in his family, and he's trying to shape the future before someone else does. Bringing Eva in is a chess move. Strategic, calculated, and very risky. If Eva accepts, she becomes part of Ted's world, a world of hidden agendas and ruthless ambition. If she declines, she might find herself on the outside looking in as her family spirals toward chaos. And in the background of it all, the Peterson case continues to simmer. Jacob Hawthorne is relentless. He knows something doesn't add up. He's started pulling footage, going back to surveillance tapes from the parking lot Cott visited. He's looking at traffic cameras, credit card receipts, gas station records. He's not letting this go. Cott thinks she's ahead of him, but she's underestimating Jacob's instincts. And if he finds the slightest trace of her fingerprints on any part of this framed job, everything comes crashing down. As Thursday's episode unfolds, viewers will see a town on the edge of revelation. Every lie is poised to collapse. Every alliance is about to shift. And as the truth claws its way to the surface, Beyond the Gates becomes more than a drama, it becomes a reckoning. Cott, Smitty, Ted, Eva, Leslie, Martin, Jacob. They're not just characters anymore. They're matches hovering over powder kegs. And the spark is coming. Beyond the Gates, the lie that shattered everything, Haleyville, and the pregnancy that never was, the tension in Beyond the Gates hits a raw, emotional peak as Haley Lawson Hamilton's world begins to implode, lie at a time. What began as a hopeful future is now unraveling into a slow-motion disaster, with consequences too heavy for anyone to control. At the center of it all, a pregnancy that doesn't exist, a medical truth that can't be avoided, and betrayal that will shatter the fragile state of a man already struggling for his life. This week's shocking revelations confirm what many fans feared: Haley is not pregnant. But that's only the beginning. When Haley first took a home pregnancy test, she believed the result was real. Positive. A new chapter. A way to ground her whirlwind relationship with Bill Hamilton, a man fresh off a divorce with Donnie Dupree and recovering from a mild stroke. The timing seemed like fate. Bill was clinging to life and hope, and the thought of having a child with Haley gave him something to fight for. But hope built on false ground doesn't hold, and the truth always finds its way to the surface. After days of stalling and mounting anxiety, Haley schedules an appointment with a gynecologist, desperate to confirm what the test told her. What she receives instead is a devastating blow. The doctor informs her that she is not pregnant. There was no baby. The test had likely produced a false positive, and whatever symptoms she experienced were not signs of pregnancy but likely stress-induced. Haley is stunned. The air leaves her lungs. It wasn't a leak, at least not in the beginning, but now it feels like one. And worse, she's already told Bill. Bill, who just weeks ago couldn't walk without assistance. Bill, who broke down in tears of joy when she told him he was going to be a father. Bill, who confessed that having a son Simeon to carry his legacy was the one dream he thought was gone forever. Now Haley's faced with the unbearable task of undoing that dream. But how can she destroy what's giving him the will to live? She doesn't. She stalls. She buries the truth under guilt and fear, hoping somehow things will change, hoping maybe the test was right after all and the doctor was wrong. But beneath it all, she knows the truth. And she knows someone else is closing in on it. That someone is Donnie Dupree. Donnie has never trusted Haley. Not during the whirlwind romance. Not after the wedding. And certainly not when Haley broke the news of her pregnancy just weeks after Bill's hospitalization. To Donnie, it smelled of manipulation. She believed Haley was using the pregnancy to secure her place in Bill's life and possibly in his estate. Donnie started digging. And now she's found what she needs. Medical records. Confidential, yes. But Donnie is a Dupree. The rules don't apply when her instincts are screaming. The files are clear. Haley never had a confirmed pregnancy. No blood work, no sonogram, nothing. Donnie confronts Haley. There are no pleasantries, no soft approach. She walks straight into the Lawson Hamilton estate and drops the truth like a grenade. Haley tries to deflect, tries to maintain composure. But Donnie isn't playing. She tells Haley that if she doesn't tell Bill the truth immediately will. Haley breaks. She insists she thought she was pregnant, that it wasn't a lie, not at first. She begs Donnie to understand that Bill is fragile, that this truth could kill him. But Donnie isn't swayed. She knows Bill. He may be vulnerable, but he's not weak. And he deserves to know who he's really married to. She warns Haley, tell him, or I will. Haley tries. She really does. She sits next to Bill, watches his face light up as he talks about the nursery plans, the name he's chosen, the way he dreams of tossing a football with his son. He's alive in a way he hasn't been for months. He tells Haley that the baby is what's keeping him going, the reason he's fighting through rehab, the reason he's waking up in the morning. Haley opens her mouth to speak, but the words won't come. She can't. Not yet. But she doesn't get another chance. Donnie takes matters into her own hands. She walks into Bill's room, calm, deliberate, and she tells him the truth. No sugarcoating, no drama, just facts. Haley isn't pregnant. She never was. Donnie produces the medical file. Bill doesn't want to believe it. He shakes his head, says it's jealousy, spite. But Donnie has the paper in her hands. He reads it. Slowly. The room goes still. Bill feels the betrayal like a slap. The woman he trusted, the woman he gave his heart to after the destruction of his marriage, the woman carrying the child he believed would save him lead. He stares out the window for a long time before speaking. Why, he asks Donnie, but he already knows the answer. Because hope can be addictive. Because lies can feel like mercy. Because love doesn't always come with truth. Later that night, Haley comes to him. She sees it in his eyes before he says a word knows. She tries to explain. She says she truly believed it. She says the test was positive. She says she didn't want to hurt him. He doesn't raise his voice. He just listens. And when she finishes, He tells her she should have told him the moment she knew. That it wasn't the pregnancy that broke his heart, it was the lie. Bill is left reeling. He doesn't scream. He doesn't leave. But the silence between them is louder than any argument. His trust is broken. His recovery shaken. And the dream he held onto for weeks now feels like another life. The world doesn't crumble in one moment, it fractures slowly. And that's exactly what's happening. Haley is left alone in the hallway. She knows Donnie was right. She knows this could be the beginning of the end. She thought she was doing the right thing by protecting Bill from pain. But the truth is, she was protecting herself from guilt, from rejection, from facing a world where her worth wasn't tied to motherhood. Bill sits in his room, a man who nearly died, who thought he was starting over, now wondering if he's been living in a fantasy of someone else's design. He doesn't know what he'll do next. Forgive, forget, move on. All he knows is that the person he trusted most was the one who kept the most from him. Meanwhile, Donnie leaves the house with a bitter taste in her mouth. She didn't do this out of love for Bill. Not entirely. Part of it was anger, yes, vindication. But another part of her still cares. She saw a man being deceived and refused to let it stand. She walks away alone, knowing she's opened a wound that may never fully heal. What comes next will be anything but quiet. The fallout from this revelation will stretch across every thread in Beyond the Gates. Bill's health, Haley's standing, Donnie's role in the family, and most of all, the question of whether love can survive when it's been built on a foundation of lies. One thing is certain, the truth is out. And now no one can pretend anymore.